Good morning, fellow partners and our special guests on Zoom. My name is Jennifer Mann, and I will be the first of several speakers today to discuss transition planning. Transition planning and support refers to making informed choices for young adults as they move beyond high school into adulthood. What struck me this morning was hearing firsthand accounts of how, from our self-advocates, how meaningful employment is and how critical it will be to continue to evolve Florida statutes and policies to support young adults with disabilities and ultimately make our communities inclusive for everyone. I'm a single mother. My daughter Tegan is in 5th grade in Palm Beach County, and she is on the autism spectrum. When I was sitting here today, I was actually reminded 32 years ago I was a 5th grader in the Palm Beach County school system. However, her transition from middle school to high school into adulthood is going to look very different than most of the students in Palm Beach County because she has a disability. When we think about disabilities such as autism and Down syndrome, we often think about the impact of children and their disability on their education. As a society, we often fail to think about what happens next when disabled children transition into adulthood. To help all students with career and college planning, Florida recently made a requirement for middle school promotion in Florida Statute 1003.4156. All students need to complete a course that must be internet-based, customizable to each student, and include research-based assessments to assist students in determining educational and career options and goals. For people with disabilities within the state of Florida, some employment support can be found under Florida Statute 413, Part 2, known as Vocational Rehab, and Part 3, Unique Abilities Partners Program. While some pieces exist to help support transition, Florida families often aren't aware these supports are in place. There's no central repository, no central distribution of services. Practices can vary county by county in Florida. The responsibility often lies with parents to research and discover options, and then to fight for the entitlement to access these programs that the state administers. Additionally, some families won't start planning beyond the high school years until their child is around 18 years old. This creates a quick turnaround situation where parents and young adults are making decisions because they're aging out of their well-known school supports. Our proposal is to reduce obstacles and expand existing policies to better reach families as they enter high school. As you will hear today, our team is proposing making a new role at Florida public high schools to ensure students with disabilities are made aware of their choices and available supports long before graduation. And it is my pleasure to introduce Maria, who will give a firsthand account of why such a transition coordinator is vital for Florida. Maria?
Good morning, esteemed guests and fellow partners. My name is Maria, and I am the proud mother of an 18-year-old son with autism and an intellectual developmental disability. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act states that transition services include instruction, related services, community experiences, the development of employment and other post-school adult living objectives, and, if appropriate, acquisition of daily living skills and a functional vocational evaluation. Unfortunately, transition services were a mere footnote in my son's individual education plan for the past 4 years of his education. No more than a couple of pre-employment and functional living skills were written in his plan. And none of the agencies, provider, therapists that we've been seeing for years have really expressed and stressed the need for us to have a plan moving forward. Now that my son is 18 years old, I am just concerned that we've wasted so many years stressing about the different IEP goals and the different medical and vitamin type of intervention, and every test possible that we could have done was more important than what is actually important, which is preparing him for adulthood. So how exactly is that going to happen? A quote from the Technical Assistance Circular released this past October by the Department of Education read, "Students and youth with disabilities should be afforded multiple opportunities to engage, and connect with vocational rehabilitation professionals who can provide services that can help to ensure the successful transition from school to work life. The VR handbook further breaks this down by stating, your choice of employment outcome must be consistent with your unique strengths, resources, priorities, concerns, abilities, capabilities, and interests. My son loves music, but when I mentioned this to our vocational rehab representative, there was not one recommendation of a provider, program, or opportunity within our community that would carve out a path towards employment doing something he loves. We don't expect neurotypical individuals to all become custodians or baggers, but why are these the jobs that most employment agencies expect our children to strive for? Do our children not deserve to have happy, fulfilled lives doing things that they're passionate about? Job exploration, counseling services, work readiness evaluations, interest inventories, or a transition individual education plan. These are all things that both federal laws, the IDEA, and the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act state should become part of our students' transition plan as early as 14, and in Florida as early as 12. That has not been the case. For the past 15 years, we have spent hundreds and thousands of hours in IEP meetings, learning about his rights to a free and appropriate public education, and how to support him in every other aspect. But transition to adulthood was not on our radar. Now that we have entered this stage in my son's life, we honestly feel quite overwhelmed. We are no longer having to worry about which math or language art goal can be reached by the end of the semester, but rather who and how we will be teaching him pre-employment skills, self-advocacy skills, and self-determination skills, how and where he will find a job that is appropriate for him, and where do we find those inclusive employers. Our transition group strongly believes that all public schools that serve children with autism and intellectual disabilities, starting as early as middle school, should be required to have as part of their full staff an employee that will coordinate transition services for our students. As parents and your constituents, we ask that schools and you please try to become an active and accountable partner. Today, I ask that you please consider adding to the House Bill 173, introduced by Governor DeSantis in 2021, a requirement for all schools with students with autism and IDD to have a transition facilitator on staff whose main job would be to assist in developing comprehensive transition plans for students and to provide support and information to the parents during these crucial years. This will allow students and their parents to be better prepared for the challenges of adult life. And together, we will be able to create a path towards successful employment for our children. Thank you for allowing me to share a small part of the struggles neurodivergent students and their families face every single day. And I hope that I can count on your support in creating better opportunities for our children in the future. Now I'm going to introduce my partner, Robbie. And by the way, this is my handsome son, Andrew.
Still good here? Thank you. Good morning, legislators, state representatives, school board, and district supervisors, our guests, my fellow partner peers, and partner graduates. My name is Robbie Tanner, and I'm from Collier County, Naples, Florida, a constituent of Senate District 28 and House District 26. I'm also a husband, a father, a dedicated advocate for individuals with disabilities, and someone deeply invested in the early intervention and future of students with special needs, including my 4-year-old daughter, Madison Olivia. This photo of our family is my why. As a parent of a child diagnosed with multiple disabilities, our journey advocating for Madison's needs began immediately after she was born. PT, OT, speech, developmental medicine, neurology, cardiac specialists, neuro-ophthalmologists, and the list goes on. I'm acutely aware of the challenges that lie ahead, and while my daughter's age has us focused on social inclusion and affording her an accommodated, free, and public education, we are especially concerned in terms of the transition from high school into higher education or the workforce. While my daughter is still years away from this transition, the collective experience shared by my fellow advocates resonate deeply with me, and I wish to better prepare my daughter for any future challenges she may face. Research consistently shows the transformative impact of early intervention programs. According to the studies published by the Journal of Applied School Psychology, early interventions significantly enhance academic and social outcomes for children with disabilities. Recognizing the importance of addressing developmental needs from an early age, I find myself aligned with the sentiments expressed by my peers regarding the need for a dedicated transition support. And echoing the concerns raised by Jennifer and my fellow advocates, it is evident that there is a need for clearer guidance and dedicated transition support to guide students. As my daughter's primary advocate, I feel it's my responsibility to ensure that she receives the necessary supports for her successful future. Building upon the proposals made by my peers, particularly the call for dedicated transition coordinator, I advocate for the implementation of a comprehensive early transition intervention program. Moreover, I urge you to consider the substantial economic and societal benefits associated with investing in early interventions. Studies from the National Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center highlight that every dollar invested in early intervention services yield a return of up to $7 in long-term savings. This includes reduced special education costs and increased future employability. In conclusion, my daughter's future and the futures of countless others hinge on the decisions made here today, and by prioritizing and investing in early interventions and through thorough transition support, we not only equip these children with the tools they need for success, but also to contribute to a more inclusive and prosperous society. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm going to pass things to my peer, Maria.
Hello. My name is Maria Torres, and I am a special education teacher here in Central Florida. And more importantly to me, I am a mom, and I have 3 beautiful boys, Noah, who is age 15, Jonah, who is age 13, and Levi, who's age 10. As my 15-year-old is going through high school, it's a whole new world for us, and he is fully taking advantage of his high school career. He is neurotypical, and he is enrolled in CTE classes. He is participating as a 15-year-old in Valencia dual enrollment. It's an exciting time. And even with that, I get nervous for him. You know, the prices of groceries going up, the price of healthcare. I wonder how anybody can make it right out of college, you know? But I have some hope. But when I look at my 13-year-old, I'm terrified when I hear the story that Maria presented, when I hear the self-advocates up here talking about their experiences with employment. I'm worried for Jonah. He has autism spectrum disorder. And according to the Department of Labor, there is a 3.7% unemployment rate for people ages, men ages 16 to 64 with disabilities. For women, that age of the unemployment rate is at 3.1% overall, making it an average of 3.4%. And this is just general disabilities. My disability jobs indicates that 85% of adults with autism who have a college education are unemployed. We're talking about people who have went to school, furthered their education, been successful, and achieved their degree. 85% of them do not have a job. Autism Speaks put out an annual report called Autism by the Numbers. This report indicated that in the state of Florida, 65% of youth with autism participated in vocational rehabilitation services. And of those students who did participate, only 42% had a job when they left. This is my son, Jonah. He's currently 13. He will be 14 in July. and we're approaching that age. And thanks to this class, I've learned about vocational rehabilitation. So I feel like I am ahead of the game. I called the office to inquire about my next steps, and they encouraged me that before he turns 14 in July, to go ahead and get my name in there, because they are at least currently right now 2 months from even looking at applications for people who are newly registered. I want to remain hopeful. I want to believe that my son, I've seen him work so hard and overcome so many challenges, and I'm like, this is just one more. We can do this. But when you hear the experience of others, it's hard. It's hard to have hope. And our team truly believes that the education system can make a real difference. Having someone dedicated to our children who have the specialized knowledge and training to help them discover what their unique abilities and talents are, how they can contribute to our society, how they can make gainful employment, how they can reach their dreams, and assisting them in finding those interests could really make a difference. I hope this change can occur soon, before it's too late. Before it's too late for my son, Jonah. Before it's too late for the families that I serve who have children with disabilities, who are hanging on to that hope as well. Thank you for your time, and let me introduce you to Hope.
Good morning. My name is Hope Coward, and my son Wyatt has Down syndrome. Thank you for allowing me to share a little with you today. I have been a special education teacher for the past 22 years at the elementary level. Transition services were an area on the IEP I did not really deal with because I've been teaching 3rd grade and below. But my son, who is only 7, already has me worried that his future and what kind of transition he will make when he finishes high school. Now, I'm also a mom to 3 older neurotypical children. I can tell you when they were 7, I was not concerned about their high school transition to adulthood. I was concerned about how they were learning to spell words and write sentences. This is not the reality for Wyatt. For Wyatt, I am already concerned about his transition. As a group, our children range from ages 6 to 20, and none of us feel that we're being guided by our schools to help the transition process. Our group's main goal is to hold schools accountable for getting vocational rehab information to parents and students starting in middle school. High school already has multiple guidance counselors who work to assist students who spend their education in general education classrooms to obtain the best possible outcomes when deciding on college or trade schools. However, there is no one dedicated to students with disabilities. As such, Florida has an extremely high rate of students graduating from high school to a couch. A classroom teacher does not keep informed of what colleges may be options for students who learn differently, nor do they understand the dynamics of the complex post-secondary education environment. Students with disabilities, both on and off regular standards, should have the same options as those without disabilities. Parents need more time to plan to be able to see what is available to help them guide their children to their best future. We propose the need for a transition coordinator to serve in the middle and high schools to counsel each student with a disability to find the best transition services for them. Interest surveys need to start at age 12 so that parents and coordinators have time to explore these interests. We want documentation that show parents are given this information, not just the parents who show up for the parent nights or the expos, the trainings. Mailed home, we want these things mailed home on a quarterly basis. It can't just be the non-working parents that have time to attend the trainings. We need everyone to be a team to work together toward this transition for students with disabilities. We need it to be meaningful. We would like the same coordinator to be able to follow the students through high school so they really get to know the students and his or her interest. We do not want this to be another layer added to a current teacher or counselor's task list. We want someone on campus getting to know the students they serve and making contact quarterly at a minimum. In 2021, Florida legislature passed and Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law House Bill 173, requiring the Florida Department of Education, in collaboration with Project 10, Transition Education Network to review existing transition services and programs for students with disabilities to identify best practices. We want to further this House bill by making sure no one falls through the cracks because there is not enough done to find a meaningful future for them. Thank you for your time and consideration in this very important matter. We spend up to 22 years in the education system, and then potentially up to 75 or more as an adult in our community. Let's make those 75+ years meaningful for everyone. Thank you for your time.